Panera's been around for nearly 40 years, but how much longer could the chain have when its lemonade might actually kill you? Unfortunately, the idea that the food quality at Panera Bread has declined in recent years seems to be shared by consumers and employees alike. One disappointed Redditor wrote, "Panera has gotten far, far away from what it was, eliminating bakers and going to pre-made frozen bread. People would come in for the fresh-baked bread, and soon what they will be getting will be no different than if they went to Walmart and bought frozen dough and cooked it at home." Many pin this downhill trend on Panera's acquisition in 2017 by JAB Holding Co., a private equity firm that swept in and purchased the company from its founder. The change in ownership, consumers conclude, seems to have kickstarted the slow erosion of Panera's food quality. One Redditor wrote, "They got bought by a private equity group and they completely skimped on everything and tried to capitalize simply on its image." We all like to remember Panera as a comfortable, cozy hangout spot where one could order a sandwich with a side of hot soup, sit down in a nice padded booth, and take one's time dining. At Panera, it always felt that care had been taken to create a pleasant and welcoming atmosphere worthy of its customers' time.
Panera is just wonderful because you just feel so comfortable in there.
Recently, however, it seems that the once comfortable environment of the eatery has changed for the worse. One frustrated former fan wrote on Reddit, "I used to go all the time with my mom from like 2006 to 2012. I remember everything tasting good and the atmosphere being extremely comfy. I went to a Panera a few months ago, and man, it's like walking into a completely different establishment/franchise. Practically nothing I remember has remained." Another reviewer on TripAdvisor echoed this, saying that their local Panera does not promote comfort and conversation. They pinned this effect on its newly styled open seating, which gives a feeling of consistent overcrowding, as well as angular surfaces that amplify surrounding noises. Seeing as Panera has traditionally maintained an atmosphere full of comfort, it naturally became a place where people opted to get work done, using laptops to answer emails or write papers at one of the chain's numerous tables while dining. But in order to be considered an ideal location for working while eating, ample power outlets to charge laptops are a necessary feature. Unfortunately, though, finding a place to plug in your charger seems to be a glaring problem for many who dine and work at Panera Bread. One online review from way back in 2014 slammed a local Panera for its very few and also dangerous-looking outlets, claiming that Wi-Fi was being limited for customers. Another consumer on Reddit suggested that the chain was intentionally providing fewer outlets to encourage people to leave, writing, "They want table turnover. Getting a customer to leave, however, only makes sense if they can also bring in a new customer to replace them. And if you can't find what you need, like an outlet, who's to say whether the average working customer will want to return to Panera at all?" Sometimes, a private equity firm will decide it's time to take a company it manages public. This is called an initial public offering, or IPO, and it's exactly where Panera Bread is headed. JAB Holding Co., the current owner of the chain restaurant, has ushered in a brand new CEO as it reportedly prepares for IPO.
Panera is tapping Jose Alberto Duenas as its new CEO.
However, IPOs are a notoriously tricky business undertaking. Good-looking profit margins are ideal when heading into one, which has led many to speculate that the company may make short-term changes that have negative long-term implications. One user on Reddit said, "Panera is planning to do an IPO early next year. This means they will take the company public again, so their goal in the meantime is to make the bottom line profit as big as possible. They do this by eliminating jobs and cutting costs." They went on to detail some of the alarming cost-cutting measures, writing, "They've slowly replaced many products with inferior/cheaper versions. They will take their money and run, and we will be left with the shell of the company that was." One of those speculations has already come to fruition, with Panera eliminating 17% of its corporate employees at the end of 2023. A whopping 300 corporate workers were ushered out the door in November of that year, and it seems likely that more layoffs are coming. While being laid off would certainly be a reason for a worker to become distraught, employees of Panera have been reporting extreme dissatisfaction in the workplace long before the IPO-induced layoffs began. In one Reddit post, crafted by a despondent Panera employee titled "Struggling to Stay," an alleged former general manager of the franchise chimed in. From my experience, Panera is an incredibly toxic place. Their entire corporate culture is beyond toxic, and it's not about to get any better anytime soon. Get out. Do not waste any more of your life working for them. Multiple additional threads seem to confirm this professed toxicity, with one worker going so far as to describe incidents of screaming between themselves and management that caused tears. Some workers attribute many of Panera's extreme work environment issues to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. But whatever the reason, a miserable workforce is never a good sign for a company. It's understandable that prices ebb and flow in restaurants, as costs of ingredients can fluctuate significantly. When these price fluctuations are within reason, generally speaking, consumers usually look the other way. But if price increases are frequent or exorbitant, consumer eyebrows begin to rise. One chain restaurant that has earned its share of criticism in recent years regarding what some consider to be excessive price gouging is, you guessed it, Panera Bread. One frustrated Redditor and self-described Panera employee wrote, "They've consistently raised prices every 3 months for years, with little to no pay increases for the veteran workers." A customer on a separate Reddit thread commented, "A huge shame. I loved Panera 3 years ago. Now can't justify the prices. I can cook a week's worth of soup with sandwiches too for the price of what they charge for a meal." Although the discontent with the prices at Panera Bread seems to be widespread, it also seems unlikely that price cuts will be considered anytime soon. Given that the restaurant's parent company is preparing for an IPO and trying to rake in as much profit as possible before this impending change, we predict that the elevated prices will hold, at least for now. No one can deny that Panera Bread's menu has many options for every taste. From simple bakery pastries like the Cinnamon Crunch Bagel to full-on hot entrees like the Teriyaki Chicken and Broccoli Bowl, there's a little something to satisfy any craving. At least, there used to be. A few months ago, a massive menu cut was put into effect at select locations, and it included the slashing of many consumers' favorite products. One Redditor reacted in disbelief to the changes, writing, "Sourdough bread, Napa chicken salad, cranberry muffin, chocolate chip bagel? What's the point in going anymore?"
Bring back French onion soup, you cowards. Yeah.
Though this limited menu is only being implemented at select Panera locations for now, the company told KTLA in an interview, "We routinely test different menu options in a small number of Panera bakery cafes with the goal of providing a faster and more convenient guest experience while also simplifying operations for our associates. It seems likely that the intended end goal of this small menu experiment is its eventual implementation into more, maybe even all locations." For a restaurant chain wanting to maintain a loyal crowd, having a decent coffee is paramount. Unfortunately, there seems to be a widespread feeling among consumers that Panera's brews are lacking. One undercaffeinated Redditor wrote, "Why do we allow Panera to offer the most vile, watered-down, translucent, and bitter iced coffee on the market? McDonald's, Wendy's, hell, even Quick Trip and other convenience stores sell much better coffee. What's the deal?" This hatred for the chain's iced coffee is well established, extending across multiple platforms, including Facebook and TripAdvisor. But it isn't only the chain's iced sippables that have come under fire. The hot coffee is also criticized by customers. One revolted Redditor wrote, "They all taste like crap. Hot coffee/iced coffee, it's just disgusting." With such poorly reviewed beverages, fans can only hope that such negative customer feedback will be heeded and appropriate adjustments made for everyone's sake. Every customer on the planet wants to feel like they're getting a bang for their buck when it comes to eating out. So while generous portion sizes are appreciated by eaters, measly ones, especially those with steep price tags, tend to be looked upon with disdain. Unfortunately for Panera Bread, it's been getting the latter reaction from consumers regarding its portions. Gone are the days of huge sandwiches, pastries, and near to overflowing bowls of soup, according to the disappointed Panera customers of the world. While many feel that the company's prices have done nothing but steadily increase over time, the products themselves seem to have simultaneously decreased in size. One scathing review on TripAdvisor gave voice to the overall suspicion that people are being shorted. Very, very small servings. What a joke. You order a bowl, and you get this massive bowl with about a cup's worth of soup in it. Such a horrible ripoff for what you pay. And it isn't only consumers calling out the seemingly shrunken Panera Bread kitchen creations. On Reddit, a self-professed Panera baker confirmed that many of the chain's pastries, including Panera's pastry rings, cinnamon rolls, and brownies, are in fact smaller than they used to be. The next time you place an order at Panera and wonder about the questionable size of your sandwich, it may not be all in your head. The FDA places a recommended daily limit of no more than 400 milligrams of caffeine per day for most people, so keeping an eye on one's total coffee, tea, and soda intake is important. As it turns out, there is an additional source of caffeine coming out of Panera Bread. The chain's charged lemonade is touted by the company for its clean and natural ingredients. But what many don't realize is that this sweet drink also contains a potentially dangerous amount of caffeine. In recent years, Panera has been hit with 3 recent legal battles thanks to its controversial lemonade product. 2 people have died of cardiac arrest, and 1 has developed lasting heart issues after consuming the beverage. Allegedly, none of them realized just how caffeinated it really was. The lawsuits claim that the labeling of the charged lemonades downplays their potentially risky caffeine levels. Before the scandal, a large charged lemonade contained up to 390 milligrams of caffeine. almost your entire recommended daily limit in just one beverage, and more than 4 times the 95 milligrams found in a typical 8-ounce cup of coffee, and more.
It didn't just have 390 milligrams of caffeine, which is a lot of caffeine.
Oh, yes.
It also had another stimulant. It's called guarana.
Panera seems to have adjusted their recipe, as the charged lemonade is currently listed with 237 milligrams of caffeine for a large. Panera continues to stand by the safety of its product, but has also reportedly moved it behind the counter instead of dispensing it from a self-serve station. This might save lives, but whether or not the drink should be offered at all remains a controversial topic. Consumers ultimately determine whether or not any restaurant will remain in business, and in the case of Panera, customers appear to slowly be dropping their allegiance to the once beloved eatery one by one. One disparaging comment on Reddit reads, "There's not a single redeeming item at the chain. Not a single item I ever crave there anymore. It used to be awesome and way more fresh when I was younger, in the mid to late 2000s. Now it's just glorified office cafeteria food." Numerous public blasts exist on various online forums, written by dissatisfied customers claiming they've been served nothing but tiny, underwhelming sandwiches and sad-looking salads at exorbitant prices. Will Panera be able to regain the public's favor and loyalty? Only time will tell.